a few years ago, I did a Thanksgiving teleseminar, and there was so many people that were just crying out of just not being lonely and connecting, you know. And so every single person has their way of that you can connect, and you're never alone really, because the universe has so much to offer. Even if you walk in the street, if you're a friendly person, you can make a friend right away, right there. You can say hello to the guy at the gas station, and 3 days later, you may become like amazingly close, and you might find that the universe brought that person to your life for a reason, if you're focusing on the right energy. This is important, because when you're in chaos energy, you also attract chaotic people. So I want to make sure I warn you about that. Yeah.
That actually just happened to me this morning, because I was shopping at a store and a lady saw me with 2 heavy bags of groceries. So there's no way you can walk 10 blocks with those grocery bags. So she actually gave me a lift home.
Oh wow.
And I thought, wow, there must have been some connection I made with her somehow.
Yes.
And she said, no problem.
Yes.
She's retired.
And there was your openness also to the universe just catering to you right now. You're like, you know what, I don't feel like driving right now. And someone just came and gave you a ride, right? You didn't even call an Uber. You didn't even do the minimal effort, right? It was like your energy attracted. Someone who's kind, they're like looking at you. You have these bags in your hand, and you want to. Now, someone else could have been like, who is this person? Should I go into their car, right? But you were open to that, right? And so that, I want to acknowledge that there was an openness. Yes. So if you're watching this, there was a lot of mechanisms that went through what just occurred this morning in terms of you attracting a simple, helpful ride that took you home and making your life more connected and easy. Yeah. There was the element of you being open. There was the element of that person offering. There was the element of you saying yes to that. There was the element of you being comfortable enough in your skin not to scare the person off, them being comfortable enough in their skin in loving mode not to scare you off, right? And then you saying yes and finally actually letting it happen all the way till you get home. And the reason I say this is because there are many people that many gifts are coming into their lives. I've experienced this myself. There's been times where I gift someone something really powerful, like my book, sessions. I see the person really needs it, and I watch them actually have resistance to love, right? And they'll come up with all kinds of reasons to block, reject, and to avoid receiving the love. And so if you have an avoidance going on, and that's the law of receiving when we talk about, and I help in one of my sessions, I help people in the teleseminar to really unblock this blockage where you're not letting things come in, you know. Some people have this disease where they can only give but they can't receive, you know. So if you have that issue going on inside you, there's a healing that needs to take place. If you're not getting your needs met, there's a blockage in your law of receiving. Or there's a fear, there's something that happened maybe that you just stopped receiving at some point in your life, you know. And so receiving is a really powerful thing. And remember this, here's one way to, if you have guilt feelings about receiving, one way to help you is every time you receive, you're giving. And the reason for that is because you're actually allowing another person to become a giver when you receive.
I wanted to ask you a point too about getting back to the success part there, is that we're taught as children by our parents that the only way to be successful, I've heard this before, is to go to school, get good grades, go finish school, go to university, get a degree, and you'll be successful. That's not always the case. And now, because you mentioned the entrepreneurial world that we live in now, there is another way that, again, they might be brainwashed by their parents, or this is the only way I was taught. You must go to school, finish high school or grade 12, and you'll be successful. Went to university. I have a brother that actually left school at grade 9, and I don't know if you call this successful, but he actually works in the oil industry, and I would think he was classified himself as successful because he makes quite substantial amount of money. He was married, he has a house, he has a boy. That's success.
Yeah, I mean, that's how he defines success for himself, right? I mean, I have 3 children. 2 of my children are in college right now, you know, and each one is uniquely different from each other. My daughter loves to take this path of studying spiritual studies. She's in Israel right now, developing her consciousness. She wants to set the outset for her life. She's like studying some of these deep mystical studies that I've taught her throughout my life. She always went to private school and she was totally into it. My son did the same thing, but at this point he's like taking a more regular route of just exploring success through the medical world, right? So each one, I think, is unique. Each person is uniquely different. I'm completely open to every type of person, as you are. And the reason for this is like this. There's a beautiful teaching that King Solomon, he was the king, like, what, 3,000 years ago. He built the first temple, right? And some say that he actually was so smart and intelligent, he was able to speak to animals, and he was able to get, for example, elephants to lift those huge stones and put them where they are, because people ask, how did the Western Wall even get built? They didn't have this kind of technology, right? So King Solomon was able to really teach some really powerful things. And one of the things he taught is, he said in the Hebrew Aramaic language, Chanoch hanar al pi darko v'gam. He said that train your child according to his inner nature, and then when he grows older, he will never leave it, right? And that's actually dealt with extensively in the Book of Formation, Sefer Yetzirah, which I've been gifted by the universe. Few copies are in the world, and one of them has come to me in a very miraculous way. Chanoch hanar al pi darko. So the Talmud says that if you have a child, or if you have an adult, whichever one, that likes to deal with blood, right, you cannot take away that person's nature, right? So you either can place them to be in scenarios where they do lab work, right? Let's say they're a surgeon, lab work, this and that, or if you take away that energy and don't redirect it, instead stifle that person, they could end up becoming a murderer, right? They want to spill blood like this. So the rush energy that's inside you, where it's going, whether it's your job drive, sexual drive, entrepreneur drive, individuality drive, right? That cannot be changed. It's part of your nature, and you must begin to love and adore and accept and nurture and redirect yourself towards that, right? And so that's a very good question that you're asking when you say, what do we do with people who, you said you have a friend, he went to school up to 9th grade and it just wasn't for him, and he was street smart and he did the oil company and he was a business guy, right? So sometimes that's the case, and you got to follow that story of see where that thing takes that person, right? Not everyone is a genius. Not everyone can study genius. I mean, in terms of academics, right? And let's face it. Actually, when I was studying with one of the mentors we were doing this thing with Bill, he actually trained Bill Gates, and he said something really powerful. He said that the first 16 years of your life, right? Every child that goes to school, at least in America, but in most countries, right? Who's really training our children, right? 9 to 5 people, right? It's like people who are just doing like governmental service or something where they really, majority of them have absolutely no idea about anything about creating your own schedule, entrepreneurship, building your own business. So who's training our children really, right? First 16 years of school, and I mean even college, right? You can go through college and master's program and your doctorate program or whatever program you want to go through. You can become a lawyer, but you have absolutely no idea how to run your business, right? And the reason for that is because you're not getting that training here, right? You're not getting any training to become your personal self and create your own schedule and run the kind of life that you want in school. You're just getting academics and information. And even if they teach it to you with information, the person themselves is not living that kind of life, right? Most probably. I'm not saying there's like a few percent of people that, let's say, are school teachers and this and that, and they have like some other things on the side and they've mastered how to do this. So it's really important for us to know that what we're dealing with here, where you're getting your education from, where you're getting your information, who you get your information from, and your two best friends and the group of consciousness that you connect with is pretty much going to bring 85 to 90% of the results that you're going to get in your life.
Well, one thing I've noticed in Canada in our school system, they're actually taking the kids out of school to experience real life.
Real life, yes.
Real life.
That's what we're missing nowadays.
Real life projects. We're no longer in the books. They got to read this biology book or whatever, and you cannot go out to a lab somewhere or see something else in the real world. So I find that the education system, at least in our country of Canada, has changed a lot because they're taking students outside of school and they'll expose them to real life situations. Take them to work where dad works at. Show him what dad does or mother does. If the mother works in a hospital, I'm going to take you to the hospital and show you what kind of work I do. So they expose them to real things. Oh, I'd like to be a nurse like my mom now because I see what my mom does. In reality, not from a book, and not from a teacher.
Yes.
Because the teacher maybe never been in a hospital before.
Yes.
She's only teaching from the book.
Yes, yes, and I love that, because we need to begin to live more. We need to begin to experience life. We need to come out of this academic sense of just like, you know, being just a book type person. You cannot just achieve everything through information, because we already passing the age of information, right? We're like living right through it. The age of information is now, and anything you want is already online. You can Google anything to any information to any answer. If you don't learn how to actually become the kind of person that you want and create transformation and get into the right states with yourself and really achieve goals and learn set goals, you're not going to get there. You know, if you don't know how to manifest through action the information, you're just not going to get there, because information is free. See, like 200 years ago, you couldn't even find answers to certain information because there was no Google, there was no searching. You know, you had to go buy a book, let's say in London, in order to get the answer for something you want to know over here, right? But nowadays we don't have that problem. So now the problem is information overload, and we need to actually learn how to translate that into everyday life actions, systems, goals, and visions, and really tap into that sense of who we are and who we're becoming. As I teach, hopefully more of you, this ancient wisdom from outer times, I'm excited to do that with you. I think we're coming time-wise towards
and
closure.
I want to ask you a final question here. Would you say, you mentioned resources, because we have the internet and everybody's so interconnected with this media, that youth, young people, and maybe people in general have more access to resources which will help them, where before maybe they couldn't find the information in a library.
Yeah, I mean, like nowadays, like my teenager, like a few years ago, was able to, he had information that usually would take like, you know, 50 years, like 50 years ago to achieve, right? He just like, you just know it all. Like you become a know-it-all kind of in a way. You know, you have information, access to everything. So for them, it's just it's so tangible right there. So
in closing, could you
to finish it off, I would say focus on not information but transformation.
And in closing, could you just give our audience some resources, maybe websites or social media that they could check out?
Sure, absolutely. So I have three websites that you can get tons of gifts and information. One of them is called Jedianics, JEDIANIX.com, Jedianics, and over there you can take the 3-minute evaluation or quiz, and that quiz is really powerful because it connects you with 1 month of free gifts, meditations of all the teachings that I'm teaching you here. Number 2 resource is to connect with my WhatsApp individualized messages that I sent you. I craft them just for you. You can just send me a text from WhatsApp to 310-659-0128. I really believe in that personal connection. I'm not here to expand myself to billions of people out there, even though I'm open to that and it's already happening, but I'm here to really connect with you personally because I prefer to be the author that you connect with, right? So again, 310-659-0128, send a WhatsApp text and I'm going to right away send you powerful gifts, including my book, which I'm going to send only to those who send it from this, when you mention that you came from this video. You can call it the Facebook Live video in November. And the third resource that I recommend is yourself, right? Just learn to breathe, learn to sit with yourself, and get into resourceful states. The best resourceful states comes from your breath. Simply sit, stare at a point in a wall, take 10 deep breaths, inhale really deeply, hold it in your belly, wiggle your toes just to bring it down to your body, and exhale twice as long. Do this 10 times, and you'll see your brain and the chemistry and the oxygen in your brain will bring you to a very powerful, resourceful state. Once again, my name is Shahin, and I am so happy that I was with you and everyone that's watching this video. I know it's got a couple of different cameras here. Some of it is going to, you know, Canada. Some of it is staying in the United States in Beverly Hills, where I am. Some of it is there's limitations in different spaces of how it goes. But I'm so glad that I could connect with you and that you're here with me today. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for talking with me. I learned a lot of different things today. It was very enlightening.
Thank you.
I hope the audience enjoyed the talk.
Thank you.
It was enlightening, and you'll apply some of these principles that Jedian mentioned.
Thank you.
Shahin.
Thank you. Thank you very much.